Man, it's been a while. The last time we did one was like beginning of April.
There's been a whole war since then.
I know. It's interesting. Like when I look at the news this morning, there is kind of the obligatory like Trump's approval rating or the consequences of blah 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 and stuff. The things that stood out to me the most were there's like 8 million thermoses being recalled because they don't have a pressure relief valve, and they've apparently you know, taken people's eyes, like permanently blinded them. And
Whoa.
yeah, it's not like a. My initial assumption was like, oh, these things are like leaking lead or some kind of chemical into the food, and it's like causing people to go blind. Nope, they built a bomb that when you put some hot beverage or hot food in there, makes it really dangerous. Like holy.
That's in-stage capitalism, though, for you.
Seriously, and it's like the Thermos brand. They're like known for making
Like actual thermos? Jesus Christ.
yeah, the actual Thermos brand created a bomb. They have to recall 8 million of them. That's going to be interesting. And then the other thing that got me was like, Ukraine is training their drone pilots using Grand Theft Auto 5. It makes sense, but it's also kind of amusing. Guys, did you get your training in today? No, I'm only 2 hours in today. Well, go sit down and kill something.
Yeah, U.S. military has been using video games for a long time
Well,
now.
yeah, but they've got like advanced simulators, but Ukraine's like, nah, fam, we can get by with a PlayStation and GTA.
Well, and like, I mean, you're talking about the same military that bought up a bunch of PS3s. Like,
No, I know. I love what they're doing. That they're doing it all with like off the shelf Amazon grade technology. I think that's hilarious. Like, if Amazon's like if their wish lists on Amazon can like outdo the Russian military, that just tells me how good the technology we have at our disposal really is, among other things. And I love it. I think it's hilarious. You don't need a $60,000 Starlight, like electro-optical night vision and thermal system. You can get by with $1,000 night vision and thermal system.
well, but that's also, I think it's telling about the death cult that everything is optimized for death.
Yeah,
Whether
that's
it's the
true.
thermoses or the fucking shit you buy on Amazon, it's like everything goes for death. It's like I I have friends in Turkey and they recently had a school shooting, and it's like the way that I had prepped them for it's like I had prepped them for the rhetoric that comes with that type of thing in terms of how Americans try to redirect the focus as to where it comes from, down to like the kid that did it was only listening to English, not only, mostly listening to English like media outlets. So it's not something he got from fucking Turkish shit. It's clearly, he was listening to some Andrew Tate fucking incel shit. And that's what that's what America is exporting now. But it's also like it's been like this the whole time, but it wasn't the only thing that America would export. Now it's basically the only thing that America's exporting, and I think that's where it's clear that the empire is on its last leg.
Seriously, I've been looking at power tower, like pull up stations, dip stations, and some of these things are really wild. They've got like extra features that I'm not even sure what to do with. I guess for like abdominal training, that actually makes sense. But like, they're all from being shipped out from outside of the country. I can't find any that are like that are actually that originate from inside the country, unless I'm looking at commercial grade, like actual gym hardware built to last, like, you know, from the smallest person doing the maximum amount of reps to like the biggest person who's only trying to just, you know, get that one big one in there. But like everything is imported. I'm obviously not looking. I'm obviously not spending enough money in my search to find something like this. But
No, I don't think you will. There may be like one producer, but they'll constantly be sold out, and it'll be out of the range of your purchase capacity because it's like
I'm not.
gonna cost so much
Yeah,
that
I'm not trying to have like gym grade equipment here, like or something that looks like it belongs in. I want something that looks like it belongs in a garage or a back room. So something that's not something that doesn't look like it could take the wall down with it. Too. Like I don't. There's a bunch of these things, like these mount on wall, mount up to the ceiling things, and they look like they could support the weight of like my truck. It's wild. And some of this stuff is really like big, like a 2 and 3 inch square tubular steel. That's like the stuff my building is made out of.
well, and then you do find out that things are weight rated, so it's like, yeah, every treadmill isn't doesn't have the same weight rating, whereas like the ones that you see in the gym, they may be rated up to 400 pounds or something like that,
Yeah,
versus the ones that you can buy and put in your home affordably are rated up to like 250, 300, which is, that's a lot, but it's like people aren't necessarily aware of these things.
yeah. I'm looking for the thing that can support like 250 pounds, maybe. I don't weigh a lot. I weigh like 160 pounds, like when I'm sopping wet and fully clad. This is maybe I'm definitely not the market.
Well, but then that's also
When I look at the
like,
pictures of the dudes they've got like in their examples, they're all like bristling with muscles, like they work out all the time.
but you also might end up doing stuff that where you're like doing pull-ups with weights attached to you. So it's
Oh yeah,
like,
that's a good point.
you may not necessarily think that would be where you would end up, but it happens so fast with pull-ups. Like, um, it's very easy to get to this point where you're doing a 45-pound weight, extra, and then you're pushing out 10 reps with it. And it's like,
No, that's a really good point.
you never would imagine yourself
I
there, but
hadn't
it could
considered
happen very quickly.
like a weighted vest or like holding on to some weights with my feet or something. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Well, and I don't know if you have a weighted vest, but it's such a good passive workout that you can feel the effect where you're like, the best way I can explain it is there's there's two layers of muscles, and the inner layer is the one that's like very difficult to work out. In the interstitial, um connective tissues between the two, it's hard to like work out the inner layer without tearing something between the two. And that's where the weighted vest really just helps work out that inner layer muscle. Just, you can just be sitting there and it's working your core
Yeah.
at the very least.
Yeah, some of these things are ridiculous. Like not just dip stations, but like padded supports and like how these are like multi-tool. This is actually kind of cool. These are like actual home gyms. Some of these are actual home gyms. Like you can do like a whole series of abdominal workouts with them. That's kind of cool. That's actually some of them have.
Yeah, you don't really need much.
Some of them have like places to like put your feet so you can do inverted sit-ups. Apparently, what the fuck? Oh, neat. Here's a picture of a dude doing one of the military push-ups, the inverted ones.
I've definitely done those on that machine before, and it's like you got to be careful. But I actually I wouldn't even call it a machine. It's like a stationary
It's like a jungle gym, except it's
kind of, yeah,
really fine tuned.
because there's nothing that's really movable.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, if you can do military press, it's not. It's almost easier because you can allow your head to fall below what would normally be ground level and like allow your weight to equalize like with gravity in a way that you can't really do. You can do it if you put your feet against the wall, but then that becomes awkward because then you can't like go past vertical to get your balance because it doesn't feel like it should be necessary, but going past vertical is kind of an important part of getting your balance, like to be able to go past it to compensate and like equal out.
I think if we're supposed to get our chin up above the bar, we should be pushing our face below the floor. Face below the floor. That only makes sense. That's the full range of motion.
Right. Yeah. Once you do it in that on that thing, then yeah, it's like a military. It becomes different muscles that a military push up on a flat surface does, but it is like not a full range of motion compared to that one for sure. And then on that note, I started calling them Batman push or Batman pull ups. Like if you grab the pull up bars and like flip upside down and then pull your body up, it's like the equivalent of a shoulder shrug using your body weight,
Oh, sure,
but like
sure.
also incorporates like core and balance and stuff. But it's like you can only do those on certain machines if you have enough, or not machine again, certain equipment.
Or apparatus.
Yeah, it's like I keep wanting to call them machine because I think like usually they'll have like a stack of weights and a cable machine
I just
attached.
call
But
them power towers. That's like I feel like that's the generic way to describe these things most adequately because it is a tower. I guess they incorporate things like push up and dip stations and like knee raise stuff. But ultimately, like I feel like power tower is the most adequate way to describe these things. I'm not even sure if that's right. That's just what I've always called them. I think that's probably a brand that I heard, or I saw the name of and just associated that with it, like Kleenex.
right, yeah, in that all those things aren't necessarily power exercises.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's probably a brand. Um, I'm sure there's like a specific name for it for the one that's just the like
The power tower,
pull
the
up.
original power tower. The original power tower. Yeah, it doesn't look like it looks like Total Gym created the power tower and it's completely unrelated to whatever this pull up stand is. It's like a Bowflex that you're kind of laying on. Well, I guess I was. I'm. Where did I couldn't have imagined it. That's not the kind of thing that I would have come up with. It's definitely a thing. I'm finding more references to transmission lines and a roller coaster at Cedar Point.
Is there a roller coaster called the Power Tower or something?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a multi-tower space shot turbo drop. So it flings you up and drops you down. Oh, that's one of those things that like people lose their legs on. Yeah, I've always avoided those.
I haven't done a roller coaster in so long. Once I think it's not. there was like Kentucky Kingdom. I mean, it's probably still exists, but one summer we went there. I think we were probably 14, 15, and there was like no lines. And then after that, it's like, oh yeah, you could kind of die on those things. And so I just didn't really have any interest in dying on a roller coaster and being like some random person in a news story that was like, so and so went to Cedar Point on a random June afternoon and died because
Severe blood loss because
the
they lost a leg
fucking
or something.
lap band didn't lock 100% or something stupid.
It is kind of amazing that those things like don't kill more people, considering how many people get on them and how many times those are machines. How many times those machines cycle through the whole thing?
Well, and it's like, are you sure they don't? Because it's probably just one of those morbid things that America buries about itself.
That wouldn't
Like
surprise me.
30,000 people die every year at carnivals, and not all on rides, but a lot on rides. Like those carnival rides are so fucking, man. As
Those
an
are the
adult,
worst. Those are the
oh
most
god,
ridiculous.
yeah, because they tear them down and put them up so frequently. It's like they're missing screws and fucking uneven, and yeah, the put built on uneven ground. Nah, man,
they,
that
they
shit is.
they don't. They only report. Only a few of them report. Not all of them report. Looks like the numbers of reporting stopped in 2004.
Jesus, yeah, that sounds like some shit America would do. Like, yeah, we're gonna not record this number and act like it doesn't happen.
Oh,
That's the American way.
hey, the numbers were so low, they just figured it cost too much money to keep track of. I think the last time I went to a amusement park, it was explicitly for the water park itself, like the wave pool and the even the water rides. Man, those things. I feel like the most dangerous part of getting onto a water-based roller coaster isn't the actual roller coaster; it's the stairs.
Oh yeah, fuck that shit too, man. Fuck that shit too. Like
Wet
I
fucking
I
stairs and little
nah,
kids running
bro,
around.
nah,
That's scary. That's
nah,
actually
man.
scarier than sitting in a plastic hollowed out log.
Have you ever been to France?
No.
And this okay, and the only reason I ask is when people imagine going into cathedrals, they don't imagine the part where you have to climb a fucking like very claustrophobic tower of stairs that also doesn't have handrails because they weren't thinking about fucking safety in the goddamn 12 or 1400s whenever they built this shit. So you're like climbing up towers trying not to fall backwards, trying not to fall sideways at this weird ass angle where you can see 290 degrees in directions where you're like, how am I seeing that right now? And then you're like, is this really worth it? And then you get to the top of the spire and there's like 2 feet of space between you and the fucking edge. And you're like, oh God, I might die up here. And everybody's like, isn't it beautiful? And you're like trying not to die. But this is like, if you're not white, all the white people are like, oh, fucking this is amazing view. But if you're not white, you're like, holy fuck, this ground is like, it's tilted. I can feel it in my feet. I'm like sliding towards the edge gradually. If I like, and it's shit like that where I like, nah, bro, nah, man.
I had an experience like that climbing the ladder at the Citadel of the Great Wall in Beijing, or right outside
Yep,
Beijing.
some shit like
Where,
that,
like,
exactly.
Where the
Yep.
stairs start tilting up, and the next thing you know, they're taller than they are deep, and people are like climbing it like it's a ladder, and taking breaks halfway up because it's a long climb. I didn't even make it. I got halfway up, and I saw my parents waving at me, and my uncle was waving at me. They're like, "Come on back down. The tour's almost over." It took me so long to get up there and back down. It was worth it. I saw it was a great view, but it was like real nerve wracking. It's one of those like my balls climbed back up into my pelvis, like, ugh. I was there was no way to even hug the rails, the stone walls next to the ladder. You just had to kind of go down. There were just people sitting down. And there's some pretty.
Well, and that's where you can't go into like the Seattle Space Needle unless you have a white person with you, so you can have that white person plot armor. Like riding up the elevator, you look around, you're like, oh shit, it's no white people, man. This thing might fail
I think
right
the
now.
trick in Seattle would be to wear like a Grey's Anatomy themed hoodie, and then you'll be protected by like plot armor.
It's depicting it because it's exactly how it is in Monk.
Yeah,
Monk does how it is in Monk.
yeah,
Monk does a really good job of depicting Seattle or fucking
yeah.
San Francisco, and like in a way where you're like, oh, I've seen this street. I've been on this street. Like, but it's not even like a main street. They'll go to like random neighborhoods, and I wonder if it's because people were renting homes before Airbnb in like the Hollywood area, and it probably spread to California. So it's like I remember when TV shoots would happen in neighborhoods more frequently. But I bet they still happen in those areas. But it's like I said, TV shows like Monk, it's definitely on location, like I said, in ways where I don't know if they just went out of their way to ensure that it was realistic, or on one hand, you can't also have like a show about San Francisco and have a bunch of San Franciscans being like, this is not right. This is inaccurate. Like, and the issue is if you go to San Francisco or Seattle or wherever, then you can like look at places and be like, oh, they shot this whole thing in like the good part of town or like the upper class part of town to get these shots, but that's not all of fucking Seattle by any means.
Well, I mean, that's a good show. I mean, I think they picked San Francisco because it does have that kind of grimy vibe to it, and he's germaphobe.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point.
Like they can't have it in a pristine like Beverly Hills environment. There wouldn't be any kind of tension in his.
Have you
character.
seen the show?
I think I watched a few episodes of the first season. I thought it was very entertaining.
Okay, so I don't know.
Thing at all.
It's I still haven't seen like the last couple episodes just because we're like we don't when you finish something, that's when it fucking disappoints you. So like the easiest way to like not have a TV show disappoint you is to like not watch the last episode. So we still literally haven't watched the fucking last episode of Monk. But it's like it gets so good when they like when you get past the character building and like everybody and they can just like hit storylines running. There's a whole storyline about the fucking garbage like going out of they're like going strike, and it's got to be one of the best episodes of all time of television, just period. Like, because when there's certain TV shows where it's like, oh, it didn't get great until season 3 or 4, like Lost, and it's not any TV show's fault because they have to build character and backstory before they can have these kinds of episodes. But when the San Francisco garbage fucking force goes on strike, it's because of the character that has been built up, that like confluence of events and characters is, again, it's like it's one of the best. It's like a Letterman joke that's been building up for 4 years and fucking pays off, and you're like, oh my god, this is like the best joke ever. And it's one of those things where I think it makes you appreciate the novelty of anything when you experience something for the first time and you can't experience it ever again because part of it is like the novelty of not knowing what's happening and then that thing happening in a way where you're like, oh, I didn't expect this and I didn't expect that, and like a domino a domino sequence of unexpectedness. Like that's when those are the types of things I feel like people romanticize, but also don't understand in that you can't have it happen more than once because it takes so much to build up and so much to get there. And also it takes an awareness to get there that every
Man, you're just confirming
creator doesn't have.
You're confirming my belief that Futurama is the most complicated cartoon TV series and quite possibly is the best writers because they've managed.
Oh, for sure.
They've managed to end that series like 4 or 5 times now.
I mean, but that's also part. Futurama is in this weird space where it didn't take itself seriously. It made social commentary, but also not heavy-handed.
Yeah.
And it's hard to stay in that space forever, which is also where I think them getting canceled actually worked in their favor a few times.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Family Guy. It's like, you know, I feel like not Star Wars, fucking South Park would have benefited from getting canceled maybe once or twice. Like, it's like I think I remember the last time I watched a South Park episode from beginning to end, but I'm not sure because it was just
the current iteration
very forgettable.
South Park is not quite the same show that it was like 27 years ago. Fuck, how many seasons of South Park are there?
And I don't know who's still watching The Simpsons. Who's still watching The Simpsons? Who is still watching the fucking Simpsons? Who are these people? I don't understand. Is it like new people?
7 seasons of Simpsons.
That's one of those things that I don't think about it very often just because it's like this. Simpsons have become a self-fulfilling prophecy because they've stagnated America. I don't know if they stagnated America or America stagnated and the Simpsons just
Bart
like
Simpson is 49.
That's become a problem that like
Bart turns 50 next year.
Japanese cartoons don't have. Like fucking Naruto has a goddamn whole kid who's got his own series and fucking set of games and probably his own son by now too. Like the way that American cartoons don't grow up is fucking weird, man. Like, and I get it, but also for them to be on as long as they are and then like still not really wade into politics because they can't, but also then try to like do more storylines with like.
They did one time when Lisa got a glimpse of the future and was the president. And she just ruined
right. Yeah. I mean,
that's how they played out. She just ruined everything.
But it was like a what if in a way that like doesn't. They do those what ifs a lot, but it's also like.
I think that's more to explore like the fears of being an extremely intelligent person in a world where things are chaotic and don't make sense. Like they do some things that are kind of interesting, but it's I don't.
It's
watch
like
the
Bart
Simpsons enough.
Bart is 49, but he's not.
I know. Lisa's 45. Lisa and I are
but
the
she's
same
not.
age, but we're not.
But you're not.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is weird, man. That's fucking weird. Goddamn Goku had so many offspring and like
Maggie is
died
40.
and yeah, man. It's like fucking we watched Gohan grow up, fucking go to college and shit. That's crazy, bro. The craziest shit to think about. We watched Goku grow up. And then we watched his son grow up. And then we watched his son's son fucking, or what, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is going on with Americans, bro? Why can't our cartoons even grow up? Nothing here can grow. Like, nostalgia is killing America in a way that I don't even think people realize how bad. Like, nostalgia is it's not even neutral at this point. It's bad for America. Like, Americans cannot handle nostalgia in a way that I'm like, it's obvious to me, and I'm sure it's obvious to you, but the way it's not obvious to the people that nostalgia is beating their ass, like the lack of self-awareness obviously is beating Americans' asses, but in math, in science, and empathy, there's a lot of things beating Americans' asses right now, actually.
Yeah, apparently, I just asked Google, nostalgia is an asbestos blanket, and apparently, this is a metaphor that's often used in psychological and cultural criticisms. I thought I was being clever.
uh, RIP Ask Jeeves.
Yeah.
We've come so far and gone so far backwards. I remember when search engines wore fucking suits, wore tuxedos,
Yeah, we're dressed
had
as
little
like legal.
platters.
They were legal precedent search engines were common. You could just search up
Had a
laws.
little monocle, fucking ready to serve you. What you need? Ask Jeeves. Now this shit's just trying to lie and fucking tell you that you're right. That's all this shit does.
So I read about this. Apparently, there's some computer scientists at Harvard were trying to figure out what was going on with like Claude, and they kept asking it questions, and then we're trying to get a version of it that would be able to determine like what people are saying. They're trying to get this like an inference engine that can really understand human dialogue, and they trained it on like the whole internet, and they realized what they were getting is what they decided to call trend slop, because apparently the AI is so well versed in all the things that have been talked about, like especially forums, that they just tell you stuff that feels good, because it's, as you pointed out, they need to remain useful, otherwise they don't have a reason to exist. Like, why would we even need this? We have an indexed search engine that'll tell us like actual data that we can draw our own conclusions from, not telling me that this is something that I just blurted out is often used in psychological and cultural criticism. That itself is comforting and warm and protective, which is what it's saying that nostalgia feels like. And I get that. Nostalgia does feel like those things. But also this response feels like that too. I'm not sure if I need Google to try and interpret things that I say. I just wanted to return information.
Americans need constant validation, bro.
I want validation that my supposition
Not you.
is wrong.
Not you. That's the benefit of growing up with two parents that are professors.
Dude. Oh, man, it's just this.
You're going to know when you're wrong. They're not going to let you fucking think for one goddamn second that you're right when you're not. Yeah. And that's awesome. Every goddamn kid needs that shit.
Oh wow! On page 2, it jumps into antitrust dystopia and antitrust nostalgia. This is interesting. I didn't even. Okay. The deeper I get, the more interesting the into the search, the more interesting the titles become. But that stuff should be on the front. Okay, no, no, I was wrong. On page 4, it's back into how to identify asbestos in walls. I don't know why I even Google anything anymore. It always just ends up being more frustrating. When it's like the search engine itself is trying to be entertaining instead of just give me the stuff I want. Give me the stuff that's entertaining. What's next? Like games? I'm sure that they used to have games, or you could play Snake on Google's search page if you just went to google.com for a while. I don't know if that still happens, but
Yeah, natural language processing is ruining everything. There's no need for it. And I wish they, it's one of those things where if they would have consulted people that know what they're doing, they would have come to this conclusion. But have you ever tried dragging the like speech to text or speech to action on computers?
no. Oh,
It's been
Dragon Naturally Speaking?
Yes, it's
Yes.
been there for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
It's worked really well for a long time. And what you realize, even with it working well, you're like, fuck, mouse and keyboard still better. And once you like get to go through that phase, same shit with the like touchless interface, it's like, shit, mouse and keyboard still better. Touchscreen, fuck, goddamn fingerprints, mouse and keyboard still better. And you got to go through all these things to know that, yeah, the text sounds cool until you actually go through it. And then you're like, fuck, I don't want to have to say every time I want to just do something when I can just click it. Like, it sounds cool. Oh, computer, fucking open the internet browser. Like,
What
no.
was that hand wavy thing? We both had one.
Leap motion.
Yeah, that thing.
It was awesome for like 3 months.
Yeah, until all the games got kind of tired because they were they had no depth.
Yep. And that's not, that's a symptom.
Problem. The real problem was that like I didn't like waving my hands around all the time. I liked being able to rest my hands on the desk and just type really fast. It was cool. It was very cool. It also reminded me of this Nintendo interface from like the 80s that looked like a laptop, but it was just these two panels, and you could interact with Nintendo games this way. But it was really only designed for one game, and if you tried to play any other game with it, it was just frustrating. I don't know, find what it is. Oh, the U-Force. That's what it was.
I don't remember that one.
Oh man, just look up U-Force, NES U-Force. It was very short lived. I remember like seeing it one time and trying to use it one time and just being just so frustrated by it. It was more awkward than trying to use the Power Glove for any game other than Punch Out.
Well, and the Power Glove didn't even really work for Punch Out either.
Nope. Power Glove was. It was like the promise of. I think that was like one of those things that would become like a cyberpunk accessory, but not to be used.
I think what ended up like, if memory serves, after watching all the like documentaries about it, it was a piece of tech that worked one way but didn't work at scale. And so the thing that they sold was basically like a lie based on what the original was meant to do, that then they were so far into it because of that movie with Fred Savage that they couldn't fucking pull back.
The Wizard.
Yeah. which had also Super Mario 3 in it.
That's right. It had Super Mario 3.
Which was like quote unquote revolutionary at the time because it was 2.5D.
Oh, that's right. Because they had like gradients and they figured out how to
Right,
apply
and
gradients.
motion parallax.
Yeah.
Again, that was revolutionary. And then I don't know if you remember Beautiful Joe.
Beautiful Joe looked great. It was like a comic book that came to life.
Yeah, there was a period between 2D and 3D where 2.5D was like blowing everybody's mind just because it hadn't really been used before.
I found the game Super Glove Ball. That was the game for a Power Glove. Oh man, the game was for U-Force. I can't even remember. I just know it was terrible.
It looks like they turned the U-Force into like the DS, like the DS design.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Somebody created a plastic stand thing that you can use on the U-Force in case you don't have discrete motor control, to the point that you can actually keep your hands like moving like in a controlled way in front of the screen things. This is neat. What a terrible controller idea, though. Can't find any games that were actually made for it.
Did you? I don't know how many systems you had, but there was a point where they were transitioning between like the Genesis slash Sega CD,
Oh, the
and then
32X?
but then the Saturn before the Dreamcast, and like
Yeah.
people had to make a bunch of choices, and I took the Saturn, and it was like very dissatisfied with my decision versus the PlayStation, but it's one of those things you have to live with. But then you're like, this is a lesson, which also I think people don't learn if their parents buy them everything. Where it's like, if my parents had bought me both the Saturn and the PlayStation, I wouldn't have learned about doing my research before making those types of decisions.
Yeah.
So it was like, I'm not saying it was good that like the money got wasted on the Saturn, but it was like I got the money like out of it over time because it was, sunk costs. So it's not,
So, I I had a Sega Genesis, and I had Sonic the Hedgehog, and I don't remember what happened, but the cartridge got partially dislodged, and it brought up like a developer menu, and it did it every time with that game afterwards. Like something got rubbed the wrong way, like a one of the little like feet that the cartridge like touches, like one of those things was short circuit. I don't know what it was, but from that point on, that game would always load up like this really weird menu, this extra menu. You could like select the level you wanted to start with, like turn off or turn on sprites, turn them off, like at a sprite, like individual sprite. It was crazy. And then one day it stopped doing that, and the game never worked right afterwards. I think I must have like really fouled its configuration or something, but I always wondered about that. Cartridge games always seem to be like problematic though. They always would wear out. You'd have to like start blowing into them because of dust or whatever. That was probably not helping actually. Blowing into them probably was exposing that all those little like leads to like the acids in our breath and slowly causing them to,
Or moisture.
yeah, and they're just oxidizing. It makes it worse. Those things are supposed to be self-cleaning if you just push them in and remove them over and over again. But I don't think anyone knew that then. Or if anyone who did know that, they didn't tell anyone, because I didn't know that till for years. I didn't know that till, I don't know, 10 years ago, easily within the last decade. But only because there have been a ton of memes about like people from the 80s, growing up in the 80s with cartridge-based systems, talking about how hard it was. Games aren't any easier though. I mean, some games are definitely easier, but a lot of like the most fun games that I've played have been like just like white knuckled, about to break the controller, intense, and then I can't play them again after that. It's like I'm not putting myself through that again.
Well, it's also interesting that we grew up in times where things like the Game Sharks existed,
Oh yeah,
and like
Game
there were
Genie.
Game Genie, people selling third party fucking hacking devices for games, basically. And it's like, man, that's in retrospect, that's not cool, but that's the type of shit like America's built on. This type of shortcuts
The
where
Nintendo 64 was sold with half of the memory it was supposed to. Then they like offered to sell a RAM increase, like for like more money, and they should have just included that in the first place. That's a bean counter decision Nintendo made, bastards. I say that, but the Mario franchise is still my favorite game franchise. I still enjoy playing Mario Kart. Pretty sure you can play that for free
have you
now.
have you played Crimson Desert?
No, but I've read all about people collecting cats in the small burb and just ignoring the game to go explore the environment itself.
I basically spend most of my time freeing slaves
That's
and
beautiful.
killing their captors.
That's fucking beautiful.
Quest main storyline be damned. It's like super fun just to run through and like clothesline and fucking DDT or RKO or like suplex fucking slavers. Because the combat has a lot of depth, but it's also like hand to hand and grappling. So you can basically do a bunch of like pro wrestling moves in what looks like medieval settings. So it looks just really out of place to just run up and like clothesline somebody. Like somebody's got a fucking bow and arrow aimed at you, and you just like take them out,
Go full Macho Man Randy Savage on him.
then turn around and fucking suplex the guy next to him. It's definitely a power fantasy game
So like all of
that nails it.
like the preview trailer stuff that I saw of it before I started seeing a lot of videos about it actually, it made me think that it either had the potential to be like one of the best games ever or just like massively fail. And I feel like it's successful as it could possibly be because people are using it in ways that are like just way off the beaten path, and that's what we hear about. There's so much depth to it that you don't even have to play the game. You can go do a whole bunch of other stuff on your own, and it's still a very rewarding experience. Like I saw a video of one person who like did their cat call, and then within a few seconds, like they're surrounded by like 40 cats. That's awesome.
Right, because you can have basically any animal like gain trust.
Yeah. Like bravo, whoever came up with that like little portion of the game. That's satisfying. Like just the ability to do just to go off on into the wild and do your thing. That's really
I
important.
mean, I feel like, that really comes from Fable. I feel like Fable really
Yeah.
um started that specific thing.
Yeah.
Like obviously open world games didn't start with Fable. But the way that the trust system and the
So what you do,
world
the way that what
interactions,
you do shapes like the game every step beyond that action is actually
right?
really important. And then it's really interesting how just one metric can completely reshape a person's experience in that kind of environment. They're really pushing that. I like it a lot. It's like the kind of accountability that doesn't really exist within the as a feature of the internet. It's done by the netizens, but
Hmm.
it's not a procedural thing that just happens. Like whereas within trust based games, like they haven't made it so like if you step on an anthill or something like that, people look at you bad, but maybe they should. Maybe if you're like walking through an orchard and you just take an apple, that should affect the way people or the game interacts with you.
Yeah, you definitely there's a difference between shit that you can take versus shit that is marked stealing it.
Yeah.
And it's like there's so much stuff you can take that there's no reason to steal, but people still do it anyway. To the point that there's like special gloves that make it so that nobody knows you're stealing. But so it doesn't affect people's knowledge of you or how they trust you if you steal with those gloves, which is like there's got to be some downside that nobody has found out yet, but it feels like they.
Oh yeah, there's probably like a place in that it's somewhere on the map where just being in possession of the gloves will like brand you some kind of disciple of something that nobody wants to be a part of. I guess pocketus or something like that. Some like storied pickpocket who stole something really valuable and it caused some great war, a divide at the highest levels. Because that's always what it always comes down to. Like someone stole something that was important to other people that nobody else knows about. Got to go retrieve some artifact that was stolen, and it's always like there's always a lot of blood involved. That's like I feel like that's the basis for so many just regular normal video games. Go retrieve this object. Don't die. Kill a bunch of people on the way. I think Splinter Cell was the first game that I ever played where the goal was to just not be seen. You were rewarded for like if you did have to take somebody out, doing it quietly and then hiding their body so the other people on watch didn't see them or notice that somebody was missing.
Well, it is funny to have played some of these foundational games for genres or for entire engines where it's like I remember playing Unreal Tournament
Yeah,
when it first came
when it
out.
was just Unreal Engine. What are we on now? 6.
Yeah. But when Unreal Engine was for the actual Unreal Tournament
Yeah,
game,
when it was just
and not
Unreal.
like
Yeah,
one of the industry standard engines. So that's like it's funny to have seen that. Um, Also, like we had to go to there was an internet cafe called Netheads in Broad Ripple, and they would host like LAN parties on the weekends, but it's like you really had to go to some place like that because not everybody had their own computers and internet access capable enough of carrying out things that were tantamount to the LAN parties. So
yeah.
it is interesting to see now in a world where everybody can basically get LAN party quality gaming anywhere, what the result is. And it is like, yeah, the competition has like gone beyond the roof so far. But in that now Esports have emerged where that's the shit that the Wiz was fantasy about. Now that's just normal. Or
Yeah.
or the Wizard. Sorry, not the Wiz. Wiz is Michael Jackson movie.
Yeah, the Wiz is cool, man.
Yeah, the Wizard. The Wizard. Um,
I remember
you
going
know,
to a LAN party back in the IUB days, and there was one guy had this beige box, and it was just like an actual beige box, the most nondescript thing. This was before like case mods were really taking off, and whatever this dude was running, they had they they just had the fastest computer, and for whatever reason, they were just running around knifing everybody, and like at the end, it's just these two computers, two guys. They're just hunting each other down, and people are just packed around these two machines, and finally hear and it was over. And that was happening with like everyone's in the same room, and that was amazing. And I don't think that it's not the same doing it inside, like at my computer at my desk. It's the same thing with like where it was more fun playing video games when everyone was like huddled around a TV, like waiting to play, or even at a coin op where like you have to get in line. I think that stuff is hard to replace, even with the connectivity, like the borderline quantum communication that just can put people in the same room with each other. Like it's still not the same. It's really good. I'm not actually complaining. It's better than I could have possibly imagined, but it's still it's a very reasonable facsimile. Almost perfect. And then when the reality gets too perfect, like when the games start like approaching the uncanny valley, it's like that stuff is just sometimes that stuff is too real, especially with like VR, where I get motion sickness after like 45 minutes of flying. But that stuff's amazing. But I can't really even see that functioning at like a LAN party scale.
well, I don't know if it's an issue anymore. Like if everybody's running like fucking 5090s, the photo reality
Oh
wouldn't be a
yeah,
problem. But the issue is then like, does it add anything? And at this point, I'm not convinced that photorealism, like, I don't think crossing the uncanny valley, like, there's nothing actually on the other side.
I was watching I
Well,
was watching my friend's son play like a baseball game on like PlayStation 5 or whatever the latest one is, and it's like it when it wasn't the batter just swinging and going through that like loop, all of the stuff in the background, everything looks like Sports Center. It looks real. Like everything about it, right up to the moment that you see the face of the batter getting ready to swing. And I was reminded of like Tecmo baseball, how it was sprites and they ran around and they were all blocky, and like man, how far we've come. But ultimately, it's the same game. One is way prettier than the other. I think I'd rather play the one that looks real, but I don't think that there's dramatically like a dramatic difference between that and even Tecmo baseball from the '80s.
I think fluidity and verity are not mutually exclusive. Like, and I think fluidity is inherently more important for games than verity.
Yeah,
Um, which again, it's like, I think you can only come to those conclusions after getting, Grand Theft Auto 5. Like, did I have any more fun in GTA 5 than I did in GTA 3? No, not at all. Not one, literally not one bit. Did it look better? Fucking of course, a
oh
thousand
yeah,
percent.
oh
So
yeah.
like the notion that somebody can't I think the problem again is like if you grew up on GTA 5, which nobody should have been playing that as a kid, but you know, if it's like one of the first things you're exposed to, then yeah, it's gonna skew your expectations. But I think that's also why it's important to start video gamers at the beginning of video gaming and not just like throw them into whatever's modern. And I think it feels like that's what should happen. But it's the same thing with weed where you're like, you shouldn't start with the fucking strongest chronic out the gate. Or whether it's alcohol, you shouldn't start with the strongest alcohol out the gate. Like nobody should drink moonshine their first drink.
I don't know. I think somebody the first burger should be a really good burger.
I don't know. I mean, it should be good, but it shouldn't be the best.
It
like,
shouldn't be the best.
You shouldn't start off on the fucking truffle burger.
Oh no, that's like
you know what I'm saying.
That's just
then you got nowhere to go.
Yeah, that's crazy. But it shouldn't be like a. It shouldn't be like a just a McDonald's hamburger. That's not a real hamburger, is it?
No, it's consistent, and again, this is where nostalgia is beating people's asses. It's a consistent flavor, but as far as burgers go, nah.
I think on a 1 to 10 scale, I'm giving the McDonald's hamburger like a 0.7.